What's up, guys? It's the Anime King David here, back with a interview between Akira Toriyama and the. I'm getting straight into the interview right now. Um, it's called the Gods of the Land of the Rising Sun, and onward to the 21st century where manga becomes manga. And round one, Akira Toriyama. This was taking place about a decade ago. It says these days Japanese comics are not limited to domestic consumption. Having entered the final decade of the 20th century, they find explosive support in parts of Asia, which as Taiwan and Hong Kong are beginning to spread over to farther into the Europe and the Americas. At any rate, I need my smokes. Akira Toriyama, in spite of being a charismatic and mysterious character, above and beyond this cartoonist, it is the first time his unvanished opinion. Sorry about that. Have been able to penetrate this deeply, and it is not entirely related to the explanation for why Akira Toriyama's face is deliberately obscured on these interview pages. I love wandering around and looking at stuff. There's, end quote, I love wandering around and looking at stuff. There's all sorts of things out there, just fun gazing at them. But I don't know how many years ago I went to a supermarket that had just opened. I was walking as always when I passed in front of the fish department, and I saw the gaze of the girl that was working there. And she says, you're Toriyama-san, aren't you? Give me your autograph. And I wouldn't, and it couldn't be helped, so I went to a darkened corner and tried to, inconspicuously sign my name, but maybe because they hear about me or something, maybe because they'd hear me or something, all of these older ladies started crowding around me. In the end, I couldn't get out of there, and quite for a long time because of stuff like that, and I haven't been back to that supermarket since, and so. He started refusing the interviews and had given me there and that he had given there and there up until then, and began avoiding blatant exposure of his face. Japan's Michael Jordan, it's not a stretch to think of him that way. Being whom, the children of America respect more than their parents, who they dream of, whom they become speechless in front of, and who they worship like a god. Basically, and at that same time, a superstar who had lost his private life, his field may be different, but there is no difference in his immeasurable influence. End quote. Well, I'm not that much of a big deal. At this time, at the time the autograph frenzy, there were kids there too, going, hurry up and sign already, and don't forget the illustration. He laughed and said, actually, I live an extremely normal life. Since I live in the countryside, even when people call me famous and such, I can't really fathom it. Akira Toriyama, denying his reputation with these words, have never lived anywhere but his family home there in the vicinity of Nagoya. These days, with the spread of express deliveries, photocopies, and fax machines, there are many cartoonists who ply their trade from the provinces, but it was a rare thing to see. This is very small print, but it was rare. It was a rare thing at the time when he made his debut. And quote, I hate crowds, so I didn't want to go to Tokyo, and plus I'm lazy. Since I simply couldn't live by myself, right after Dr. Slump started in serialization, my editor, T with basically two blinks. They didn't really put out his full name. Told me, if your transcript is late, you're coming to Tokyo. So I drew desperately, so as not to be late. And quote, lazy as he spoke. This became the key word. At first, I was a typical office. I was working a typical office job at an advertising firm, but as a designer though, since I had at least studied design in my school, but I quit after 3 years. I was constantly late. He laughed. I felt that working at an office from the early morning was impossible for me. Anyway, I wanted to be there. I wanted to be free from that lifestyle as soon as possible, and I wanted to take it easy. But naturally, his money would run out, and he couldn't hold his head up high. And quote, after I quit, my parents tell me, don't go out. It's embarrassing. It couldn't be helped, though. I spend my time aimlessly reading comics at cafes, but eventually I ran out of money for cigarettes. Then, then an issue of Weekly Shonen magazine I was reading at the time had prize money for 500,000 yen, written for its new talent award. I had fair amount of confidence in my drawing skills, and I did like Tezuka-san and such. As I thought, all right, I'll draw a comic. At any rate, I needed my smokes. So to think that this man, for whom such an income would now be practically nothing, set a path out of a need for cigarette money. And what was this about Weekly Shonen magazine and not Weekly Shonen Jump? And quote, that's right. The deadline passed as I was drawing, so when I looked at Shonen, when I looked at Shonen Jump, they were taking submissions every month, but it was a monthly award. The prize money was only 100,000 yen, but I figured, what the hell? And quote, then I got a call from my first editor saying, why don't you shoot for serialization? Your story is still no good, but you have a novel. But you have a novel way of drawing sound effects. I believe I forgot the name of the anime, but another one is Gacha, which has impact. He said, I just have done the same thing on I did on posters with stuff like sorry about that. With stuff like year-end bargains or super sale on now, though, and he laughed. Quote, but in the end, I didn't win the award. I had gotten the prize money. I probably wouldn't have been satisfied with that and quit. And what might the editorial department as shown in Weekly Magazine think upon hearing this? Nevertheless, as a result, from then on, Akira Toriyama would begin his non-stop ascent to success to success story. So basically, this is talking about the story about how Akira Toriyama became the famous creator of Dragon Ball Z. The name of this topic is that I can quit at any time. You know, continuing from his big hit Dr. Slump, Dragon Ball has received overwhelming support to this day, and it is known in his common knowledge that he has raised the commercial value of comics in a myriad of ways. However, at that time, he says that many call into question his shift from gag manga to story manga. I knew that I liked Jackie Chan. He said and said that in case, why not draw a Toriyama style kung fu story? When I first started, I even heard that people said it will be a flop. I'm a sore loser though, so I thought, all right then. But in actually coming up with gags gags every single week had gotten pretty tough. So I turned it into a story manga. And then I was doing it. Then I came up, and then I thought it was pretty enjoyable. You know that they say the characters sort of start acting of their own, acting of their own accord. That really does happen. Then again, I figured out I could just quit if it was no good, and basically saying that, you know, if the manga doesn't sell like it's supposed to, I can just quit at that point. How about the philosophical attitude? Yeah, he was earning money and no longer wanted for anything, and yet I felt neither excess or arrogance in his words. He was too easygoing as Akira Toriyama talks, and he gives no sense of the ugliness into the clinging to fame that people who have gotten this Big Ten fall into. It's nice to have money, though, up to the point where I didn't want for anything anyway. Maybe it's because of where I am now that I'm able to say that. But actually, even I do not know where what that goes into my money. What goes on with my money. It's Bird Studio after all. Even back to when we built this house, my parents moved to the conversation along with their own. I was like, we are building something. Still, even after I became successful, my parents didn't change at all much. They just stopped complaining so much. But at that point, my father came up to me and said, "Come on, let's go get a Benz, Mercedes Benz." And I thought I was being awfully, sorry about it, ingratiating. His home certainly is grand. However, it is neither gaudy. Sorry about that, gaudy or excessively large. Akira Toriyama himself too has the appearance of an ordinary person in a sweatshirt, jeans, cap, and basketball shoes. And one thinks his rumored income is so ordinary as to be disappointing. Nevertheless, the rumors fly as high as the name recognition. And the last topic, conclusion: God or Kami is like a child. I've heard this from the third editor. There was a time when his manuscript was almost lost. The delivery truck that always sent was sent at a designated time was involved in an accident, which caused a huge stir. Naturally, I called Sensei up in sorry about that. Sensei up in a panic, and then he said, "I made photocopies. What he's due, and a world where authors would be living, and editors would, shave their heads at the loss of a original manuscript." I couldn't believe it. Certainly, to an author, an original manuscript is special. However, there was a time when manuscripts were turned to him, starting with Dr. Slump. They were piled in a garage, and on top of that, apparently they have been used by his son Sasuke-kun in lieu of sketchbooks. So basically, Akira Toriyama's son has the same name as Sasuke Uchiha and Naruto. And since we can say, like, okay, Kishimoto says that he got his influence from Dragon Ball Z, that's safe to say that maybe he got Sasuke from Akira Toriyama's son. But when he shows me his workspace, plastic models he's worked so hard to build lie broken, and the model guns that he has collected since neglected, a far cry from loving display treatment of an enthusiast. That's because I do not look back on them anymore. Basically, they explain how he built his chapters, how he built his manga pages back up after them being gone for so long. Then we get all the way to the end. He wasn't just an ordinary person. That card probably cost some tens of millions of yen. But from that side, the editor, I believe, suggested it's finally coming is great and all, but don't you unexpectedly end up not writing it? Akira Toriyama again gave a carefree laugh. "Ah, you might be right." Lastly, I asked him something that I just thought of, a simple question regarding a man this aloof, this unattached to things. Did he fear death? Akira Toriyama comes back, "Well, I'm really afraid of that, really afraid." This I felt it was the greatest outpouring of emotion he had all day. His eyes were remarkable. It was though he was actually answering before the Green Reaper beckoning to him. Except, there's still so many things I want to do. I inadvertently grinned at his subsequent words. Yes, the manga prepares to take the word by storm as manga, and God is just like a child, as unchanging as ever. And this so-called God actually being Akira Toriyama for the Dragon Ball Z manga. So basically, the creator of Dragon Ball Z is a lot like a child in a way. And so the fact does not change that he is an amazing one. And that's basically where we get to the end of this interview. I am very sorry that I seem very slow in actually reading. Now, I'm reading from my phone. It's a very small text, so if I'm it sounding like I'm starting here and there, I'm reading from a very, very small text, but I do it for you guys. And if you guys actually like this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you like to share, this wasn't the most perfect of videos, but I always try my best to give you guys what I can. And this has come from the Kanzenshu website. Make sure to go check the website out. Thanks for watching, guys. My name is the Anime King David. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share. Peace.